I think you and I both have borrowed belief from a lot of people in the things that we've done at different times.
Totally.
And I talk a lot in Firestarters about having the tribe of people around you. Jim Rohn's quote that we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And man, I've borrowed belief and inspiration and courage from a whole lot of people in my life. And it's really important to have those people that you can borrow it from. Because you're going to need it.
No doubt about it. And I neither of us, it sounds like we're ashamed to acknowledge that and know that we needed these people to believe in us at certain times.
Yeah. All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Sales Spark Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Barnaby, here with one of my favorite people in the whole world, Jennifer Chapman, who you are going to love as well when we are done with this episode, because she has quite a story and she has lots of grit and just a lot of really cool sales acumen that I can't wait for you to learn from and be a part of. So Jennifer, welcome. Or as you are on my phone, Jiff. I didn't want to just say that and people will be like, who's Jiff? And it says Jennifer. So welcome. And you are joining us. I love this. This is one of the great things about remote working. You're joining us from where?
I am in Fort Myers this week.
Nice.
Love
it. That's pretty fantastic. How hot is it down there right now?
It feels like 102, 103. So it's hot.
So kind of like Indy last week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not much different. Yeah.
All right. Well, I was trying to remember before we got on the recording today how I met you, and I don't really remember who introduced us, but I do remember that when we met, I was like, this is a woman who I really connected with. I felt like after our first meeting that we had known each other for a very long time. And I'm just super excited for you to be here. And I want you to tell us about your sales journey. How did you get into sales? When you were a little kid, did you have the lemonade stand and you're like, I want to be a saleswoman. I want to conquer the world. I want to win all the sales contests. How did you find yourself in that space?
Great opening question. And as you say it out loud right now, for me growing up, I didn't learn about sales until one of the jobs I had in high school was retail sales. So I sold at Galleons before it was Dick's.
Yeah. Man, we could really take I'm not gonna do this to our listeners, but I miss Galleons so much. That's all I'm gonna say. Loved Galleons. Okay. So you started in Galleons.
I started at Galleons. The better experience that I had looking back for sure was I worked at Olive Garden as a server in college for a couple of years. And they had small sales incentives, at the time to sell however many desserts or how much usually out booze, right?
Right.
But when I graduated Ball State, my first job out the gate was in sales. I graduated with a marketing degree, didn't know what type of sales I was going to go into.
But you knew you wanted to do sales.
I did.
You didn't want to go be a marketer.
I think in my dream ideal world, I wanted to go into sports marketing because I'm such a avid sports fan.
Sure.
But the Colts didn't come knocking on my door then. So
or the Pacers or anybody else.
Yeah. Any of the other great sports teams out there. So it was through a relationship. And that is a common thread throughout my entire sales career and life are relationships. And that's how it's sold. So it started with somebody knowing somebody who worked at a beer and wine distributor in Indianapolis. And that's the first job I said yes to, was to sell wine into grocery stores.
Why did you say yes?
I'm 22 and I got to sell wine. So maybe that was a part of it.
Fair.
More importantly, it was because of the company, the culture, the leader, like all the people that I met right away that made me feel comfortable in where I was. And that being able to look back now is so easy to reflect and say, they helped me build the confidence that I felt like I needed to go in and sell the products that they wanted me to sell.
Okay.
I've always been surrounded by great leaders starting then.
Wow. How very fortunate you are. Because I'm sure that there are many who are listening who are like, I had some really, really shitty sales leaders. Yeah. I had some really good ones too. I had some that were fairly narcissistic, and their idea of motivation was motivation through humiliation, which never really been on board with that. But that was their tool of choice. So kudos to you for being able to just learn at a super early age what that looks like. And again, for those listening, I hope you heard that. There were a couple of things there. One, relationships. I will go to my grave saying that sales is relational, period. If it's transactional, you're doing it wrong. It's going to be short-lived. It's not going to be successful, and it won't be fulfilling. And all of that stuff that we learn in college prepares us to go apply for a job that may or may not be in the field that we studied. And yeah, and I love that. You're like, well, this is what I wanted, but this is the thing that came. And I said, yes. So you're selling wine at 22. How long did you work for that company?
8 years.
8 years. And let's talk about your sales progression. What happened in those 8 years?
So the first 2 years, wine grocery, which is wine off premise.
Okay.
And then it was kind of a lateral move to go to beer on premise. So I got to sell into bars and restaurants for 4 years. Couple different territories.
Okay.
Great different experience than wine grocery, where some of that was more, and even more so now than even then, but somewhat more corporate driven, right? Not necessarily at a store level.
Sure.
Where bars and restaurants, if you're independently owned, you make all your own decisions. So that's a lot different than selling into Applebee's, right? Applebee's would be at a corporate level where they have to sell the products they have to sell. That's it.
Sure.
But every independent bar and restaurant, that's where the fun was. That's where I very much tapped into the relationships I was building, not only with bar owners, but the staff, right? The bartenders, the servers.
Yeah.
What could I do to make sure not only myself, but our products stood out and that they would want to sell for me and with me?
Okay. So as you're talking about that, I'm sure that your time as a retail salesperson and a server probably helped understand your client, right? What were some of the things that you did to make sure that your product stood out and it was something that they wanted to sell?
The biggest thing is, you ask me that question right now in any industry that I've ever been in, was show up.
Yes.
Show up. Consistently show up so they would remember you.
Yeah.
Period. And I'm sure we'll potentially explore more of my experience in history.
Yeah.
Every industry, every position I've ever had, I can say confidently, it was because I showed face. They were never going to forget who I was and what I represented. And by doing that, you build trust.
Yes. And so was there I had a sales manager when I was in the corporate world. And when I first started, I was supporting 3 sales reps in the Northeast of the country. It was all over the phone. We didn't do Zoom meetings. It was calls. So I never, I got assigned to them and now I'm supporting them. And our sales leader came down, and we used to call him, his name was Mark Glavin. And he would do, we called them Glavin drive-bys. He would come down to the cube environment where we were smiling and dialing all day long. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget, like the second week that I was there, he came down, and I knew, I was all prepared. Like, he's going to ask me product stuff and what do I know about the products and the pricing and all that. He said, he asked me who my 3 reps were. He already knew, but he asked me who my 3 reps were. And he said, why are they salespeople? Fuck, I don't know. Like, what do you mean why? And he goes, how do you plan to support them well if you don't know why they're doing what they're doing? Wow. Okay. So you better bet the next conversation I had, I asked them, why are you in this business? Tell me more about that. Came back down again, did the drive-by, said, do you know the reasons? I said, yeah. He said, do you know their wife and kids' names? Like, damn it. No. Mm-hmm. He's like, tell me anything that you know about them. Basically what he was saying, without saying it, was curiosity is key, and you're not curious. And that taught me from the very beginning to get curious. So I'm curious for you, when you were there and building relationships, do you have, I would imagine you have some things that you did then that you're probably still doing or have always done in terms of relationship building. And for somebody who's out there like, okay, I'm fresh out of college, I got my first sales gig, I need some tips and tricks, not tricks and like, not being authentic, but what are things that you did to help build those relationships?
Yeah, it's a great point. I think it's get to know them as people, right? Keep it human. Don't come in as a sales robot with a script, which was never me anyways. Right. I've seen people try and do that. It's not going to work most of the time. Mm-mm. It doesn't feel, thankfully, I guess I wouldn't even know how to do that if I tried.
Right. It's not in our DNA.
It's not. And I think that it was meeting them where they were as humans first, not just coming in with the product that I was going to sell them. They had to trust me before they were going to trust anything that I was going to sell them, whether it was a bottle of booze, or when I went to Cintas and was selling floor mats and restroom supplies, or home health, or now I'm in a different space, or even when I was coaching. There's so many, it's applicable. Is just remaining human and authentic to build the trust.
Yeah, I talk about the, I used to travel with some of our sales reps back in the day, and we definitely had some folks who would do what I called the show up and throw up. Here's my bag of shit. Here's all the things that we have. Let me metaphorically dump this on your desk. Oh, you don't want that? Well, I got 3 more bags in the car. Never once asked a question. It wasn't necessarily scripted, but it was definitely planned and written down. And I was part of some very painful sales presentations because they asked no questions. There was no conversation. It was very transactional. It was not at all relational. Yes. So, all right. So 4 years of selling on premise. What were some of your accomplishments during those 8 years straight out of the gate of college? How did you do as a salesperson?
I did really well.
Okay. Hold on just a second. Hold on for just a second. For those, if you're just listening and you're not seeing this, I'm going to refer to this as the aw shucks Midwest mentality of we were, and I'm sure you were told this too, Jeff. All of our lives in the Midwest, we get told, don't get too big for your britches. Don't be too prideful. Don't be puffed up. Don't be so full of yourself. So when you ask people in the Midwest, like, what are you good at? They give you this, like, I'm just using the gifts the good Lord gave me. And I'm just, or I've done this, all my life. So, I'm just good at it. So I don't want any of that bullshit Midwest humility. I want you, this is your time to brag. What did you do? What kind of accomplishments did you hit?
I crushed it.
There it is.
I crushed it. What does that mean? It means, and I spent a total of 10 years in the beer, wine, and spirits industry.
Okay.
Total. So it meant, especially in your 20s, especially in the beer, wine, and spirits industry, we were always told, you're not going to get paid like kings, but you're going to live like kings.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Meaning, I won all the trips to breweries, wine. I've been to wine country 7 or 8 times.
Wow.
Which is a pretty incredible place.
Yeah.
Never been to breweries. If that's your thing, I recommend it. And it's a cool experience and environment to surround yourself with farmers, right? These people that make the best wines in the world, they're farmers. They're out there in their jeans and,
Right.
No, I mean, it's just a cool, humbling experience.
That's awesome.
I've been to breweries all over the country. I'm a competitive human. And so I was very driven by any incentive they were going to lay out there, whether it was monetary or tickets to the Colts games, in the suite, or the Indianapolis 500 in the suite, or the Pacers game in the suite, or concert. I've been to
I love all
concerts galore. So
I love all the things with the in the suite behind it.
There's hardly another way to go. I mean,
it's kind of like flying first class. Like you did. I love the few times that I've been upgraded have been fantastic, but it also makes me now hate when I don't fly that way, because it's like, those bastards up there, they've got all that, they got, and I look around at the suites when I'm at, sporting events, and, all the food and all the drink, and you can sit in comfy chairs and, all the things. So, well, and that is very much living like a king. So, so you crushed it. And then, so you're there for 8 years, and then what happened? Then where'd you go? What'd you do?
I went to another distributor, and I went to a supplier. So I got to, at the height of the hard cider explosion in 2013, I worked for Vermont Hard Cider, which is Woodchuck, the original.
Oh, OG. Yeah. The OG. I used to drink some Woodchuck back in the day.
Yeah. And the reason I got that gig was I called he was the VP back at Monarch, the distributor, and said, would you vouch for me? Do you think that this is a good opportunity for me? He made one call, and I got the gig.
Let's pause there for a moment too. This is a great episode for people who are, I think it's good for everybody, but I just think about the kids who are coming out of school. Don't ever underestimate where you were before or the connections that you have, because sales is relational. So are sales jobs. It's so much. I've worked with so many salespeople who are in the job that they're in because the boss that they have was a boss that they used to have, who moved to a different company and who wanted to bring them along, or who, same as you, recommended somebody. And I'm sure that part of this was what I'm hearing as a theme and a thread through your story is you always seem to be willing to raise your hand and ask, or maybe even volunteer, like, yeah, I'll take that, or I'll do that. And I think that is a very underrated action in the sales world, to say, hey, what about this? And can I go do this? And what about this? Because we think, maybe people are going to judge us, or my team's going to get jealous, or nobody else is doing that, or I'm not even. Ask. The worst they could say is no, but they might say yes. Right?
Totally. That's it. The worst they're going to say is no. And
right.
There's so much fear and assumption of the worst.
Yeah. And along those same lines, I know that there will be people that are listening to this who are smiling and dialing and doing a lot of cold calling, and like, what if they say no? A friend of mine and I, during COVID, we had a little contest where it was really hard for both of us during that time. And so we flipped the script and we started collecting no's. And we would see who had the most no's at the end of the week. And it's funny how much the fear of a no goes away when you're trying to get it.
Yeah.
when you get there faster. And okay, they said no, great, move on to the next one. There's lots of people out there to ask. Keep asking. Somebody's going to say yes eventually.
That's right. When you're in the moment, though, sometimes it may not feel like that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think the hardest thing to do when you are cold calling is to pick up the phone and make that first call. Then, then once that first call of the day is out of the way, you're off. It's like, okay, what was I worried about? Why was I making a big deal out of this? We're off and running. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to a couple of other people. I would imagine that you were also successful in those places as well. Is that true?
It is true. It is true. It is true. And
there's that all shucks.
Yeah. It's really It's really defining what that means. And what am I comparing that to?
Oh,
someone else's.
Say more about that.
What am I making it mean? Like, yes, I did well. It's what is it? Is that monetarily? Is that a promotion? Is that whatever accolades that is? And it's just the acknowledgement of still 10 years later after leaving that industry, still thinking that it was just okay when it was more than okay.
Is that because you're so competitive and you have this thing that you could always, like, you look back and you're like, I could have crushed it a little bit more. I could have crushed it harder.
Maybe.
Interesting.
And does it matter? No.
Yeah.
Because it got me to the next spot.
Right.
It got me to the next position. It got me to the next opportunity. All of them did. There's evidence of why that's true.
Sure.
Or I wouldn't have gotten there.
Sure. So, yeah, that makes sense. All right. So a couple of years doing that. And then I want to, I'm not sure where in the timeline this fits, but I definitely want to include this because I do think this speaks to your character and your grit. And I don't remember how long after this happened that I met you, but somewhere along the way, you had a physical, I don't know what.
Health scare.
There we go.
Yeah. And it's important to mention this to your audience because there's a lot to learn, I believe, from it. And so after 10 years of being in that industry, I took at the time my biggest leap of faith of leaving comfort of 10 years to not only a totally different industry, it was a totally different level of sales.
What do you mean by that?
So it was the type of sales that I learned in college that I never thought that I wanted to do, which was cold calling and door-to-door sales.
Oh.
So that's another reason at the time I said yes to Monarch. It's to the beer distributors like, oh, you've got the accounts already. You've got the buyers. I just have to go sell them more of what they already have or a new product. I don't have to go find the accounts.
Right.
So that's important to note in that whole 10 years. They were all already established, right? In 2015, I was recruited on LinkedIn by a recruiter and went through the entire 10-step process to get hired on at Centos, which I also like to share in that final interview. It was very conversational, great guy, awesome interview. And at the end of it, he said, "We're ready for you. Where's your head at?" And I said, "I'm terrified to say yes to you and fail." And
wow, said, that's a big gamble to say that.
Yeah, it is. I don't think I realized how big of a gamble it was. I was just leading with honesty and vulnerability.
Well, that's who you are. So that makes sense.
And I'm so grateful that one of the most powerful reframes I'll never forget was him saying, "Yeah, what if you say yes and succeed, though?"
That's perfectly on brand with Firestarter stuff. I love that.
How profound is that in the moment? Of course, that's the obvious.
Yeah.
What you would want to lead with.
Yeah.
And I'd be curious whether it's now or another time is the difference between men and women when it comes to a question like that. Where do men just come in with a different type of confidence and not that doubt or that inner voice that said, "I don't want to say yes to this and fail"?
That could be a topic of a whole different podcast, but I do want to hit on this because I think it's really important. I can tell you that if 2015 Jason was asked that question, 2015 Jason would not have given the answer that you gave. I would have said, I would have internally been terrified, excited, and maybe not terrified, but, worried, concerned, excited because it was new and ready to get going. And there's no way in hell I would have said that. I would have been like, hell yeah, let's go. And then I would have hung up the phone and been like, what the actual fuck did I just say yes to? And I would have called a couple of my friends. 2025 Jason. I would like to. I would like to say that in that decade that I've gone to the other side, I would like to believe that I would at least have one foot firmly planted on the other side. And with that foot firmly planted, I would follow the lead of that foot and say the thing, because that's more authentically me. And that's really interesting. I don't know if I think that'd be a good, maybe we'll do a LinkedIn poll about that before this episode goes live and just see like, what would you have said?
Yeah.
And see if there's a difference between male and female. Because I for sure would not have said that. And again, it just blows my mind how great your leadership was. The fact that, was it a man that said that? Mm-hmm. The fact that he reframed it and said, but I mean,
right.
I'll tell you what, had I said that and he had given me that answer, I would have walked away going, I made a great decision. These guys are badasses.
Yeah. And being able to look back now on that, a different type of leader would have maybe not taken the chance on me, right? And would have not reframed it, would have caught me in it like, oh, this girl's not confident. She's not who we're looking for, which would have been my answer too, as far as yes or no to that opportunity. So it is a moment I'll never forget. And I didn't know how much then I was borrowing his belief in me.
I think you and I both have borrowed belief from a lot of people in the things that we've done at different times.
Totally.
And I talk a lot in Firestarters about having the tribe of people around you. Jim Rohn's quote that we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And man, I've borrowed belief and inspiration and courage from a whole lot of people in my life. And it's really important to have those people that you can borrow it from. Because you're going to need it.
No doubt about it. And I neither of us, it sounds like we're ashamed to acknowledge that and know that we needed these people to believe in us at certain times.
Yeah.
And he was one of the first that I can say that comfortably, like he was it. And so I said yes. So thankful I said yes.
Yeah.
That first year I hit President's Club.
Of course you did. And
I thought, oh, this is what it means to be quote unquote successful in sales. I had no idea. These are the stories I was telling myself.
Oh, okay.
Because I monetarily made more than double that I ever made selling beer in 1 year.
Oh, wow.
And so I defined success as like, oh, not only are you hitting President's Club, the money's good, the trip, the President's Club trip, all the things that I then tied to success. Mm-hmm. So I put that pressure on myself to want to do it again, right? Go back to back again, because that was the only thing that made sense to me. And yet it felt harder that second year. And that's when no one at Cintas put pressure on me like I put on myself. I always like to say that.
Yep.
I never did.
Right.
And yet, why was I not trusting the process the second time around? What worked for me the first time, I felt like that second year I was chasing the accounts. I was grinding more. I wasn't getting the consistent yeses. Mm-hmm. I wasn't reflecting though then. I just kept grinding.
Yeah. Right. If I just work harder and make more calls, I'll get there.
Yeah, that's all I knew. That's all I thought.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's just real quick. It's interesting that you say that, because I hear a lot of musicians who are really successful with the first album that the second album is way harder, because it's this, like, are people going to like it as much? Are we as original as we were? Have we sold it? Like all these questions. And instead of, to your point, just doing what you did, you add all this pressure. And I think that pressure affects the energy that we have when we show up, whether we know it or not.
Agreed. I agree with that. And
so did you go ahead.
No, so it was make or break that second year. Either we were going to close this hospital system and it was a guaranteed yes that I was going to hit. And if that hospital system said no, there was no way. And in Q3, they said no. So in the moment, it was utter devastation. and exhaustion.
Sure.
And questioning, now what?
Right.
Do I have to start over? Like, I felt depleted. And again, because of the incredible sales leader I had, he said, we're gonna switch it up. Let's move you territories, let's move you roles, let's move you locations, a lot of change, a lot of new. But again, he believed in me. I said yes because of him. I didn't say yes because I trusted myself. I said yes because I trusted him. So I said yes.
Borrowing belief a little bit.
I did. I believe I borrowed his belief in me the whole time. The whole 4.5 years I was with Cintas.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And so in the midst of all of that first day I was supposed to start that new role is when my body was tracking all of the things.
As the body does.
Always. It's always going to.
Body keeps the score.
It had me slow all the way down that day, and I suffered a major stroke in March of 2017.
And you were how old when that happened?
34.
Wow. Did you know what was happening?
No.
Wow.
No. It's been 8 years, Jason, and it's still scary.
Wow.
To think about.
Wow.
Yeah. So for the sake of the time we have today, I physically bounced back really well. It took about 4 or 5 months of rehab and therapy and all the things. And I thought because of my competitive spirit, I am healed enough to go back. And I did. And those next 2 years, and we probably met in 2020, 21.
That sounds right.
And so I was 3 or 4 years out. I was still somewhat emotionally fragile, I would say, and a little lost. I had stepped out of corporate at that time. I left corporate 1.5 years after my stroke. They were so good to me. I just knew I was no longer fulfilled. Selling floor mats and restroom supplies, believe it or not. I just didn't know what I wanted to do.
So you said earlier that, you hit President's Club and you're like, ooh, this is success. This is what that means. And then now 1.5 years later, you're like, nah, this ain't it. Did the stroke do that for you to reprioritize things? Or did you? It did. Okay.
It did. What a gift my stroke has been.
I love that you said that.
What perspective it has given me. And that could potentially help lead us into not only having my own business the last 3 years, but the most recent opportunity that I've said yes to.
Yeah.
If you want me to share a little bit about that.
Please.
So I recently said yes to another sales gig. And I want to share this story because not only is it an incredible industry that I am in, incredible company, incredible people, all the reasons that I've said yes to every opportunity up to this point in my sales career. My sales manager, I met at Ball State 21 years ago.
There it is.
And so we've kept in touch this entire time, not just casually.
Sure.
2 years ago, I did a workshop for her team.
While you were on your own as a solopreneur.
That's right.
Okay.
She brought me in and I hosted a mindset type of workshop for her sales team.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, I see this position open on LinkedIn. I text her casually and said, I'm curious. She's like, let's meet for lunch. We did.
There's curiosity again and asking the question.
I did.
Yep.
This nervous curiosity, right? And there was this so I've had my own coaching and speaking business the last 3 years.
Yep.
Truthfully, as I navigated this opportunity, I had the whole inner dialogue in my head the whole time of
course you did.
Am I giving up on myself? Am I failing?
Yeah.
It was an emotional roller coaster ride, truthfully, to get me to this yes.
I can't imagine.
And because of the relationship I built with her, literally one interview that I got to sit with her and the sales rep that I'd be supporting, I knew some of the questions she was going to ask, so I felt prepared. And Jason, the biggest takeaway that I can share from this experience for anybody that's listening to this. The difference maker, I believe, not only because of my sales experience and success that I've had in the past, it was the emotional intelligence aspect of the interview process, of the questions they asked me.
So give us an example.
An example is, how do you deal with conflict? I'm like, well, Jiff of 8 or 9 years ago would have lost sleep over it, would have battled internally, would have not handled it in a healthy way, would have shown outwardly, depending on if it was with a customer, right, or which would have been different than maybe someone on my team. I never really had that. It was dealing with a difficult buyer usually. I would just handle, I just would handle things completely differently now, not take any of it personal.
Right.
Before I would take it personal.
Of course.
Right.
And I think the younger we are, the more we think, I don't know if you've ever seen, I need to find that, put it in the show notes. It's like when you're in your 20s, you think everybody's paying attention, and it basically like gets to like when you're in your 50s and 60s, you realize nobody's looking and nobody gives a shit, and neither do you.
No one gives a shit.
Yeah, let's just move on. Nobody. I love when people are like, I'm back on LinkedIn after taking a break, and I'm like, I didn't even know you were gone. Like,
yeah.
I'm glad you think that I was paying that much attention, but I was not.
Yeah. So that's just one example. And so whether I got the gig or not, that was my takeaway from the interview experience. And so after one interview, I had one other conversation. She's like, I don't need you to ride out in the field. Sales is sales. I want you to fly down and meet my VP in Texas. If he likes you, he'll offer you. So I flew down. This guy and I BS'd for 90 minutes. There was no interview type questions. It was just him getting to know me.
It was a vibe check.
Total vibe check. Human to human.
Yeah.
He wanted to know about my worst experience I've ever had and how I dealt with it.
Would you like to share that with us?
That was his first question.
Coming out of the gate strong.
Is there a need to go any other way? Really, let's just.
Yeah. I
liked it again because it tells you a lot about a person is how you handle the worst experience of your life.
Yeah.
And I had shared a little bit about my first few minutes of the interview was, here's my sales experience. And, there's that break because of my stroke. And then what I've done these last 8 years. And he said, well, normally I ask the question, what's the worst experience you've ever had? But it sounds like you've already shared that with me. And I said, that's not the worst experience I've ever had.
Oh, damn. I was thinking that it was. All right. So are you willing to tell us? Because I'm intrigued.
I am, because I think it's important.
Okay.
And because I know it's universal and applicable, and it's why I share it so vulnerably, is I lost my mom when I was 11 years old.
Oh, I forgot about that. Damn.
So I'm very passionate about why I share that story.
Yeah.
Some of my biggest life lessons come from that story. My stroke was a simple not simple. It was the wake up call I didn't know I needed to go back and heal what I had not healed.
Okay. I love that.
Because I was the same age my mom was when she passed away.
Oh my gosh. I think I knew that, but I had forgotten. Wow.
Yeah. So that's where it comes full circle.
That's profound.
It is. And
wow.
I caught him off guard.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
I'm not the only one, though, that's lost a parent at a young age, right?
Right.
And so many people are scared to share the most painful, most vulnerable experiences of their life, and that's where the teachers are.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a friend who told me once that we were sitting on top of a mountain. I lived in Colorado for a couple of years, and we were on a mountain, Buffalo Mountain in Dillon, Colorado, above the tree line, way up, beautiful. You could see for miles. And I said to him, and he was kind of a wise sage sort of guy and didn't have a lot of, when he talked, you paid attention because he chose his words carefully. And I was like, man, I could stay up here forever. And he stayed really quiet. And finally he looked at me and he goes, Jason, it is beautiful up here. He said, but look around. There's nothing lives up here because we were above the tree line. He goes, you can't stay up here. And he said, if you look out, and we could see the valley. And he said, if you look out and see the valley, he said, where's the greenest parts? They're in the valley. That's where the roots grow deep. Mm-hmm. And I was like, shit, that's profound. Mm-hmm. And I think you're right. I think it's my experience with mental health and financial struggles and all the things that I am very open about now that I didn't want to be open about at all when I was going through that stuff. Those have been the greatest teachers of my life. And I can say now, and I was so pissed when it was happening. People were like, one of these days you're going to be so thankful for this. I was like, fuck off. I don't want to hear about how thankful I'm going to be. Right now it sucks.
That's
and
right.
Now that I'm on the other side, it's pretty fantastic. The lessons that I've learned.
That's it.
Yeah.
When you're in it, when you're in the hard, it sucks.
It sucks big time.
But it doesn't have to stay hard.
Right.
And I feel like that's a choice.
Yes.
I don't want to get off topic with
yeah. Yep. No, I agree with that.
Framework here. And I would say it's helped me shift my perspective when it comes to defining myself by my sales success. Right? Like the definition of who I am outside of what I do.
Right. Well, and that's where I think, to your point earlier, I think so often, and I had one of these too, I think so often my identity was tied up in my sales VP title at the bottom of my business card. And I had an epiphany in the woods on a hiking trip with my oldest son where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And holy shit, who am I if that's not at the bottom of you think about our culture, right? You meet somebody, hey, what's your name? What do you do?
Right.
So much of who we are, I'm putting this in air quotes, so much of who we are is what we do.
Right.
And so when that's not it, I think a lot of people, I'm sure people you've worked with, definitely people I've worked with, it's this, where do we go from here now that this is not the thing, right? I think that's incredibly important.
Thank you. I want to add to this. I did a recent workshop with a team a few weeks ago. And the last exercise I did with them is I said, I want you to answer the simple question, who are you? So I gave them 2 or 3 minutes and I expected them to write down the roles that they play, right?
Yeah.
I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a whatever position they are, I'm a brother, sister, all these roles. And I said, those are everything that you do. The most important role of your life is probably a parent. Mm-hmm. It's not who you are. Who are you? Write those down.
Yeah.
Write down the qualities of who you are, your strengths, your gifts. That's what you have to lead with every day. And
so many of us do not do that.
We forget. Or we don't think that we are those things.
Yeah.
And again, to your point, borrowing someone's belief in you to remind you of those things.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Jiff, I feel like we could do this forever, but we have to wrap it up. And I just want to say, number one, thank you for your vulnerability and your honesty. Number two, your grit and tenacity. Do you know your Enneagram number by chance? Are you a 3?
2 wing 3.
Yeah. I was going to say there has to be some 3 in there somewhere. That competitive spirit. There's got to be some.
I've tried to build a healthier version 3 versus the unhealthy version.
Yeah. Well, that's good because there are a lot of unhealthy 3s out there who are just
totally.
I'm going to win at all costs and I'm going to beat you down in the process. So I thank you for that. And if I'm understanding correctly, even in this new gig, you are still doing workshops and other things on your own. Is that true?
It's true. I'm grateful that my sales manager knows my work. She's seen my work, and she said, I'm not asking you to give that up. You can still fulfill those engagements.
That's incredible.
It's incredible.
I just talked to somebody last week who had a side gig, and when his company found out that he had a side gig, which he wasn't taking anything away from his main gig, they found out that he had a side gig and they fired him on the spot. So it's incredible that your story and how fortunate you've been with leadership and companies that honor those things that are important to you is fantastic.
Gifts.
That's amazing. So tell us quickly, what do you speak on? What do you do workshops on? And we will include your website address down in the show notes for people that might want to reach out to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The biggest workshop topic that I focus on is mindset, how to overcome victim mentality, what that looks like, sounds like, feels like, and how to embrace what I call your inner warrior. I still do that. I've done that for 3 years.
Yep.
And I'm also a Y certified coach. And so through Simon Sinek's work.
WHY.
Right. So I help people in teams, and it's so powerful. I've got one next week, actually, a team.
That's awesome.
To help you identify and put words to why you do what you do, your internal motivation. Because a lot of us, we don't know until we get the words and language to it. And then it's like, oh, that lands.
Yeah. I love that.
I can now speak to that other person based on their why, not mine. Right? So it just helps bridge the communication gaps that are out there.
That's fantastic. I will put a link in the show notes to I remember seeing Simon Sinek's, I think he calls it the golden circle, the find your why, the TED Talk. That's a great one, and it's a great introduction. Here's what I would recommend to those of you who are listening. Go watch that, and if you think your team needs it, get in touch with Jiff and have her come in and do a workshop, because that'd be pretty cool.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna rapid fire here to take us home. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Cold call, cold email, or LinkedIn DM. Which one would you bet on right now, and why?
LinkedIn DM.
Okay.
And sending a voice note through LinkedIn DM so they can hear your voice.
Some people don't know that you can do that.
Highly recommend it.
I do too.
And that's what would work for me.
Right.
Versus the standard spam we all get.
Right.
I will never respond to that.
Nope. Same.
Yeah.
I call that getting pitch slapped. Not a fan of the pitch slap in my DMs. No. Don't need that. And I have a theory that those of us who send, because I do that a lot, those of us who send voice notes and get a voice note back, that is almost always a fiery connection. It's just so good. I just think there's something about people who do that. So, okay. What is a book, podcast, or resource you think every sales pro should check out?
Great question. I would say I'm a podcast gal.
Okay.
And I love Mel Robbins' work. And no, she's not a sales expert per se, but it goes to she's all about habits and motivation.
Yeah.
And no matter who you are and what role you play in the professional world, it's an inside out approach. So it's really all about self-development, self-leadership.
Yep. Totally agree with that. What's one sales myth you wish would disappear forever?
The first thing that came to mind is leaving emotions at the door.
Ooh, say more about that.
I think it was more of an old school way of how you were told to show up, is to leave the personal outside, just come in with the plan, the script, the transactional aspect of sales.
Yeah.
The reason I've had so much success is because I brought my whole self into
100%.
Into the opportunity, into the position, into the meeting, into the interaction. I bring all of me.
I like that. What's a recent spark of inspiration you got inside or outside of sales that's helped you lately?
It's such a great question. I think it comes back to what we said earlier, which was who I've surrounded myself with.
Yep.
I've got people you and I know a lot of the same people.
Yeah, we got a badass tribe.
We have a badass tribe, and they never allow me to forget who I am. So if I can continue to surround myself, it just boosts my confidence muscle. If you have not,
I'm going to do what other people did that I made fun of earlier today. If you have not seen my LinkedIn post from today, go out and check it out, because it speaks exactly to what you just said. And I think it's just a short clip that I pulled from Instagram, and it is such, like, the facial expressions are phenomenal. I will also leave a link of that in the show notes. I got 2 more questions for you. Finish this sentence. The best salespeople I know always fill in the blank.
Show up authentically.
Okay. And if you're thinking about all the matches that you have in your matchbox of sales tools, and if somebody said, I'm going to take this whole matchbox and I'm only going to leave you with one match, you just get one. Of all the things that you could do in sales and all the things that have been good for you, what's the one match that you would keep to strike?
Have a mentor.
Ooh.
So I was a part of building the mentorship program at Cintas. So I was a mentee and a mentor.
Fantastic.
And as a mentee, that mentor never showed up for me.
Oh.
So when I became a mentor, I showed up for the newer hires. And a lot of times, Jason, we would have monthly calls, and I would have certain things that I would want to talk about to support them in a professional space.
Sure.
A lot of times, though, they were not, for our one-to-one calls, they weren't calling me to talk about, what do I need to do in this call, or this buyer? What do I do with this buyer? It was, I need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And I don't have that at home, or I can't go to my sales manager with this. I just need somebody. And I was that somebody for them. And I've always had somebody. Everybody needs somebody.
Yes. I will tell you that I've seen that over and over in my coaching and fractional sales business, that you get with the leader behind a closed door. And if they're being forthright and honest and true with why they've truly brought me into the picture, it's a very similar story. I don't have anybody to talk to. I feel like I'm all alone in this place that I'm in. I don't know what to do, who to ask for help. Should I ask for help? Do I even need help? Is it weak to ask for help? All those things. And I 100% agree with you. To have those people who've been there and done that is incredibly powerful. Absolutely incredibly powerful. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our episode today. Jiff, this was an absolute joy. I learned some things about you that I didn't know. I did know that you crushed it. I didn't know that you crushed it in that kind of a way. That's really awesome. Relationships, curiosity, showing up. Those are the things. And while that seems so very simple, it is remarkable to both you and I how many people do not do those things. Right. And so I want to thank you for being a guest on the Sales Spark podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It was a joy. And please check out the show notes if you're listening for all the different links that we talked about. And we will see you the next time on the Sales Spark podcast.
Thanks,
Peace.
Brad.